The image is from a book by the Petershams called The Boy Who Had No Heart. And he's in ecstatic joy because he found his heart. And he found it in the middle of Woodstock. Anyone who's ever been to Woodstock, even for a minute, will recognize that image as the center of town. You might not recognize the black cat on the roof, but you'll recognize the mountain and the church and the village green. Their work is really a lasting legacy for illustrators today. It's a little bit unfortunate that the general public doesn't know much about them. I was fascinated by the nature of their lives together. It's a love story, quite a remarkable love story of two people who under normal circumstances would never have met nor fallen in love, but they fell in love across a drawing board and stayed there for the rest of their lives. And I knew them when I was a little girl and visited their house and their studio. They created an atmosphere of welcoming, warmth, openness, good fun, and hard work. But what they did when they're going to work was they turned on heel, walked through the great big door into their studio, closed it, and all we could hear was laughter, music, silence. And when you did get to go in, you would see these two drawing boards under the north light. They were facing each other with lots and lots of art materials all over, and toys and artifacts and reference material and books and music. It was a wonderful, warm place to be. The Petershams, when they created an illustrated book, would start with a tissue paper dummy. You could do this, fold a bunch of pieces of paper in half and you've created a book. And they actually did the writing and sketching and layout of the book right there, just like that, with an ordinary old No. 2 pencil. You'll see in their very early work real reference to Mishka's Hungarian roots. There's a lot of very strong color and folk art motifs in the illustrations for the poppy seed cakes, for example. And that strong color goes with some really amazing draftsmanship. They also were, as many children's book illustrators and writers were at the time, highly influenced by the contemporary advertising climate. And you'll recognize in their work a lot of images that resonate with anyone who's looked at ads from the 30s and 40s, and some of the poster art of that era from here and European as well. They did 3 posters for the National Children's Book Week, 1931 and then 41 and 47. And you can see a very interesting progression in their style from an internationalist folk art kind of look to a immediately pre-war patriotic to a post-war a little bit softer, back to a narrative style. And actually those 3 posters are kind of an exemplary story of their artistic evolution. But for some reason their work has been forgotten since their deaths, unlike some of their contemporaries. So I undertook this project partly to reclaim their legacy, or maybe remind the world a little bit about them. Let me tell you about my friend here. I'm sitting on Peter the horse, and he usually doesn't live here at the WAAM. He's not a museum kind of a horse. He's a library horse. He lives at the Woodstock Library in the children's room, where every single day he's climbed on by kids and grown-ups too. He's a very strong horse. I can sit on him. I first climbed on him when I was 7 in 1954. He was one of 5 horses that were painted by important Woodstock artists of the time and auctioned off in a horse auction to benefit the library. At that time, the library had no public funding. It was one fundraiser after another, and the horse auction was an important one. Someone bought Peter and gave him back to the library to keep in the children's room, and there was a town-wide contest to name the horse. And Peter won because he was painted by Maud and Mishka Petersham. He's a little the worse for wear, he's got sort of worn ears here. They used to be a brighter reddish orange, but he's still Petershamian in his coloring, and a sturdy guy, and I'm glad he took the trip up the street here to the WAAM. He has said to me he really rather misses children. He would like to see some more kids coming in.